Professor Élie.
Professor Élie.
Bon, encore bonjour.
Encore bonjour. Encore once again, good morning. I'm sorry. We're in this panel. We're going to give an answer to the question lack of housing and that we have in Haiti. There is one thing that they talk about earlier this morning. It is jalousie. And a lot of people what people don't know is that jealousy is a shanty town that is above the city of Pétionville. That is above Pétionville. It is a very large shanty town, but it's been a while now, for a long time now. A lot of people say that it looks very so nice because the houses are painted, but behind those paintings, what else do you have? Is it just is that an answer? Because the measures, because painting painting the houses make them look nice, but that is not the main problem. That's not the main issue. The main issue is that it is the way the houses were built, how they separated, the separation between the houses. Because in the same city of Pétionville, we had a case where it is a school that fell, and the way it was built, there was no possibility to give to go help people. This is why when it comes to jealousy, even if it seems to be pretty now, it is not a real answer to the question, to the issue. And moreover, other questions that may have other answers. There's a geologist who said there's a series of issues, a series of problems. But in any case, for a while now, they talk a lot about jalousie because there are a lot of articles, a lot of editorials that where they talk about jalousie. So in that sense, if it's an answer, if it's not a real answer. The other thing we could talk about also it is that there is work when it comes to zoning that needs to be done, so people know where they can build, where they can have security for houses. We're not saying that they haven't worked on that. They've done some work on that. We are beginning to train better the engineers and the architects, so that there is some work that's being done on that. But there's another piece of work that needs to be done. That needs to be done by the municipalities. The mayors have what they need to do the work, because it's the mayor's offices that should. A lot of times the mayors don't have the competencies, the people who are qualified to do the work, but unfortunately. But the national authorities and the national leaders, decision makers should also help, so they can help resolve that problem. Another thing that we think also that causes a lot of problems is the issue of law on renting. We have an old law that says that explains how to rent a house. There is an evaluation that's done that shows how much money people can pay for rent. The mechanism of control also, because the landlord that has the money that he has to pay to the tax office, the DG, he can say how much the person who's renting can pay. But in reality, in fact, it is as if that doesn't exist. And many houses that fell after the earthquake, which caused the problems, which worsened the problem, it was because there were some houses. It was not housing people built for themselves to live in. It was housing that they built to rent, and so they built it poorly. So now today, it would be necessary at the state level, at the government level, for them to do the work, and they should do that seriously. And for them to do this seriously, the Minister of Public Works should get involved with the municipalities. But it seems like when you talk at the municipality level, it is not clear. It is not clear that they don't know that they have that work to do. This is why for us in the context of our work, we're beginning to say that we are doing a series of workshops. We are inviting people who work in the when I'm talking about our work, I'm talking about in the university. We cannot replace all the means that we have. That we can have a workshop here and there, but we don't have the means to do the work on more comprehensively. But at least we help people to become aware of the issue, so people can at least think about this problem. Again, when at the municipalities, if we consider the law 1982, the decree of 1982, that helped the municipalities to figure out how to resolve some of these issues. When we look at all the possibilities, we don't find one mayor's office that used these tools that was available to them, or even tried to use it. Because sometimes you may try to use it, but you cannot really use it. Because if you look very closely, in any case, we don't see any attempt to try and do that. Here again, we see that there's some work that needs to be done at that level. The text of laws. What do they say? What can we do with them? Because that even gives some issues at the political level, and of the areas that are urbanized, but they don't count them as urban areas. That causes even difficulties, even to articulate the citizens' participation when they're going to election, when they're going to vote. So we think this is work that needs to be done at the level, at the state level, at the level of the Ministry of Interior. There's some work that can be done at that level, and as far as we're concerned, we cannot do it. At least we believe that we can. We're trying to fulfill our role by making people aware of it, and so they can take the initiative to do some work on that and even publish some text. The other thing also is that we think that the state has to intervene very strongly, especially after January 12th. It's when it comes to the price of the building materials. We can find some decision at the level of the ministry to say how do you think of the price of materials, because when you think about construction, for instance, the government promised that in 2013 he was going to work on the construction, and then they say that it was going too fast. They say that the construction. They say that it was 2013 was going to be the year for construction, but the construction cannot be done in just in any case. But the price for the construction materials, they have to be aware of the price and also the quality of the materials. When talking about the quality, we use a lot of iron. We know that there's some iron that they use, and then this house fell. They take them and they try to use them again. There should be not only at the state level work that's done, but there are also done some other areas where the state. There are interventions, there are discussions where they talk about water. There's a certain kind of mortar. We don't see that them working on that. The engineers that we talk about these issues, structural engineer, they told us that there's a serious problem. There's a reason that there are some houses that have been rebuilt. They build them with the iron that is not convenient, that is not good. There are some countries. There are countries where when people are building, they have stations where, before you build a house, they take the iron and then they check it. They have agencies that work on that and say okay, and give that they're okay to do the iron as a good construction material. We don't have that in Haiti. So whatever steel that we use now, sometimes if we have a manufacturing place where they can rework on these steels and to make sure that it's solid enough to place it once again in the mortar that they're using to build houses, that would be great. So the state has a lot of weaknesses when it comes to that, which is why there are some things. There are some things that we say in Haiti. There are some things that you try to do and do them well, and there are other people who are undoing the good things that you're doing. But we also believe that one of the biggest problems that we have in Haiti, when it comes to construction and housing, it is the issue of it is a land issue. It is the issue of land. Who owns the lands? Do we have registry? Are they registered? When we're talking about the issue of land, we come back to the issue that was discussed. It is a problem of the profession of lawyers, notary lawyers. What kind of work? It's a big field. It's a really huge field to work on because our civil code say that the owner of the land is the one who built the houses on it. But if the owner of the land is not sure, the building is not good. There are countries where, even if today, in many countries we're talking about, but perhaps in Haiti it's a little bit difficult. It is difficult. That asks for a lot of work. I remember recently, I went with a colleague from an agency who asked me a question. They asked me, is it true that if you're a landowner, the limit of your land goes all the way up to the sky? I couldn't answer that question. So that asks us to go back and think on the development of cities like Prof, or to development of the urban areas. What's happening to us is that today the agricultural land that is on the surroundings, they're building houses on them. When we're building on those agricultural lands, we're diminishing the agricultural production. The coastal cities that we built, we did them so they can have the production, the agricultural production can be exported. Now what we're doing is we're building houses on those places. There's a joke that I like to say. There's a joke that I like to say to the agronomists. You know the issue. You already know the problem, and you as agronomists and you're building on them. That's not right. So that's why we have to explain to the people who live in urban areas in what area we can build, which areas are the agricultural areas. These are issues that the government, the state should take into consideration and work on, rather than us. And while we're talking about the government not working on them, we're also saying that on our side, us as citizens, those of us who are professors at university, university professors, we also have our work to do to accompany the citizenry, but we also have to be able to discuss with the state, with the governments on these issues. The issue of land, it causes a lot of issues, and this is why someone was talking earlier. Even when the government says the area, some people might say this is my land. Somebody else might say no, that is mine. How do we resolve that issue if we have a land registry? If we have a good land registry where all the lands that are owned or not owned are registered in. Like Patrice said earlier, yes, we say that we have to make sure that the land produces, but the interest of the community is more important than the individual interest. But for us to work at the citizenry level, to work in all these areas, with all those people, whether it's a lawyer, with the notaries, with the engineers and architects, we have to communicate with the state, with the government, with the instances, with the government instances, the government agencies that are responsible for these things. They all these institutions have to work in collaboration, basically. We, on our side, we say that what we ourselves can do as an institution, as a university, it is to work on what we call our housing cooperative. But here again, we have a big issue, a serious issue. It's a big issue. It is what kind of legislation do we have when it comes to cooperative in Haiti at the state level? There's a lot of issues with government when it comes to that. A lot of weaknesses. For instance, if we consider the recent text, recent regulations that we have of 1981, there's a series of other problems that correspond with issues that we have under the dictatorship of Duvalier, whereas the government which is why we had a series of issues. So when it comes to cooperatives, what did they do? They took only one law, which has a lot of weaknesses in terms of text and legal text, and then they put all the other sides on the side, which makes it even weaker. Even when we want to help the people organize themselves into cooperative, in housing cooperatives, and that brings forth another problem. If we don't work on this issue, if at the same time the issue of zoning, as we mentioned earlier, if there isn't the issue of, if there isn't the matter of to help implement the text to the legal text so that they can pass, we're going to have other difficulties. Those of us as we consider ourselves as tools, working tools, even though we want to work, even though we are just a university, we're a liberal arts school, we'd like to take certain responsibilities, but we also have a series of breaks, a series of difficulties because of the lack of legislation or lack of administration, administrative procedures. We find so if they could help us a little bit to move ahead, when they could have also they could help us when it comes to resolving the issue of housing. We saw, for instance, in the surroundings of Province, there's a series of practices that people have. There's an institution that in the rural community that they call SOL, which means that one helps the other when it comes to building houses. There's a SOL to buy the cement, to buy the land, but we'll have to start that again. But they would have to work. They would have to work with the people to try. I'd like to say rationality. It's not really rational, but there is some rationale from the way I'm saying it. But at least give the people more guarantee that they can do it. Already we have students. We have students at the university who've done some work on that. But unfortunately, the government, we have to have some advocacy to talk to government so they can give us the tools so we can do our work properly, so we can resolve the issue of housing. That is, we have to ask the government to do its work. At least they have to give us the funds, the wherewithal. They have to have a clear housing policy. But at the same time, there is a way we can help in terms of training people, training our professionals who can work on that. But the government should also revise a series of instruments that it has to allow them to be at greater ease in this work. And so it is in that context that we say the answer of it. But there's a lot of places where government can give you an answer. But if they could do that, they could help us to help the people to organize themselves on the issue of housing. Soon enough, we can discuss some more of those issues when we take a different phase.